Hey, friends. This is Martine Williams, and I am obsessed with all things mompreneur life and helping you to remix your priorities, your habits, your mindsets, and yes, even your relationships so that you can build a successful business without losing yourself in the process. I'm also obsessed with the color turquoise and lyrics of the 80s and 90s, but that's beside the point. Girlfriend, you don't have to hustle 24/7, 365 and continue to sacrifice your health, your relationships, and your sanity to be a successful mompreneur. As a small town girl living in a lonely world to a six-figure mompreneur, I am here to teach you how. There is a better way, and this podcast is your one-stop shop for all of the how-tos, the encouragement, the life hacks, the success tips, and of course, a little side of tough love. This is the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. So let's do this. What's up, friends? Another episode of the Mompreneur Life Remix podcast is headed your way. Thank you so much for tuning in, for continuing to be a loyal listener, and for sharing these episodes with other mompreneurs that you know need the inspiration, need the encouragement, and just to hear the stories of other mompreneurs and how they have found success and how they have found harmony over hustle. So today's guest is Jessa Raye. She is a wife, a mom of three, a coffee lover, and an avid book reader. Me too. Y'all know that. Jessa helps moms show up for themselves without sacrificing motherhood and without guilt. We had an amazing conversation on mom guilt and prioritizing the most important things that to help decrease overwhelm, to help with burnout. Jessa is also the host of Caught Up in Motherhood, a podcast where she helps mamas ditch the overwhelm and find themselves again in between all that they do. A super important conversation. Y'all know I'm so passionate about talking about burnout, talking about harmony over hustle, and just how we can be both an amazing wife, amazing mom, an amazing entrepreneur and successful business owner. So I just really love this conversation today. I know you're going to enjoy it too. So without further ado, let's do this. Welcome back, friends, to the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. I'm your host, Martine Williams, also your CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. You can always find encouragement, inspiration here on this podcast. I hope you're finding it a place where you can come and hear real stories of mompreneurs. And I'm super excited about our Turquoise Talk guest today, Jessa Raye, who is here to share about prioritizing your day and just all the mom stuff. So Thank you so much for being on here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here and have our Turquoise Talk.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about you, your family, and kind of how or why you became a mompreneur.
Yeah. So like you said, Martine, I am Jessa Raye, and I've been an entrepreneur for 4 years now. I started because I had my first. I had my first boy. He's now 4. And I wanted to be home with him, and was having that struggle of going to work and sending him to daycare and just not being able to be separated from, the crying in the car, all of the things, that postpartum just blues hit me really hard. And I decided there had to be something better, something different that worked for me. So I started working from home as a virtual assistant, and then moved into coaching from there because I got to know the other moms in the community and what they were struggling with. And we just really connected on talking about the struggles of trying to balance everything you're doing as mom, new mom, and then running this business. And on a lot of these, it was a new business.
Right.
So they didn't know what they were doing and trying to figure it all out, and just really connecting with other moms talking about how to do all of the things and not feel so overwhelmed about it. And then supporting yourself in the mix too, that cheerleading, positive self-talk of you got this, and actually believing it and not just having it be this mantra and not backing it up. And after I had my first and started that journey, I've since had 2 more kids. So I am in it deep with 3 littles and running my own business out of the home. And I think that's probably been one of the biggest conversations I have with other mompreneurs is, how do we do it? How do we just balance having littles? I have a 4-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 2-month-old, and a business to run out of the house, and a house to run, and a dog. Like he's a toddler 24/7. Let's be real. And just making the move to do everything that we feel we have to do in a day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's overwhelming. It's sometimes even just to think about it, right? And I know there are women who are listening to this podcast, and maybe this is the year, right, that they want to start a new business, or they have this passion that they want to want to monetize, or maybe they just want to volunteer somewhere, and this like something they really are passionate about. But again, they're thinking, okay, how am I going to prioritize my days so I don't feel that overwhelmed? So can you talk a little bit about how you help the women that you talk to, like, do that? Like, how do you do it personally? Because I think it's always good to learn kind of, tips and tricks of what things work for you on how you prioritize your day and how do you keep yourself from being overwhelmed. Someone's listening and they're like, that's me. She's speaking to me. Give me all the good.
Right. I know. I feel like we get overwhelmed with our running to-do list. And a lot of times it's just in our heads, everything that we need to do. And we can get so overwhelmed and just frozen, like just paralysis. We just can't think about what to do next because it's all in our head. And I always tell my mamas that they need to get it all out of their head first.
Yeah.
So I'm always talking about making lists just to get it out and get it out of your head, to clear up that space that you have, that you need in there to be able to think and process what you want to do for the day. So to help prioritize, I always start with write it down, just get it out of your head, get it on a piece of paper. And I like a 3 notebook method personally. I have a notebook for my business, a notebook for my home, and then I just have my random, everything else just gets thrown on their notebook. And I put all of my to-dos in those notebooks. I'm pen and paper.
Right.
I really like pen and paper, and I have little notebooks. And the business one travels with me around the house because, let's face it, we're working on our phones or computer, laptop. We're all over the place. And my house notebook, that'll be the things that need to be done around the house. Clean the bathroom, think about dinner, doctor's appointments, whatever. I leave that one in my kitchen. And I do this on purpose. I've been with my husband for almost 14 years now. And he has, over time here, picked up that notebook on his own accord and done things on the list.
I love it.
It's like this passive aggressive kind of like, I'm just going to slip this here for you to see it. And we're not going to talk about it, but like sliding across the table kind of thing. And he picks it up and he'll work on things on that to-do list. So I always like to talk about putting that to-do list somewhere that is out for the rest of your household to see. So if you have older kids, that can help your spouse. They can see that running like house list of things. And then you're not asking them to do it. And then you don't feel like you're bugging them or nagging or repeating yourself 100 times. They can just see the list on the kitchen counter and be like, oh, I could do that. Yeah. And then they can go do it. And it's one less thing off your list. So writing it down, getting it out of your head to clear up that space. And then you're able to pick 1 to 3 things to do in the day. And we're always in different seasons. And each day could be a different season.
Right.
For me, yesterday was mommy day. My ability to get work done, non-existent. And it's giving ourselves that grace to know, like, okay, it's mom day. We're teething with the 1-year-old. The newborn is cluster feeding. We're just going to have a mom day. And that was okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. So my to-do list for the day was to be mom. Yeah. And maybe take a little bit of time to think about my business, but not actively doing anything, like sitting at the computer and working for the day, and knowing that that's okay because we get to make our own schedule.
Right.
And we get to work on our businesses when we want to. And of course, there's deadlines and things that come up, but to take those days when we have that flexibility and being able to shift when we need to is awesome. And then I think that biggest piece is just supporting yourself and saying that it's okay because you are your own boss now and you get to make those rules. So don't be so hard on yourself and say you have to work on the business every single day for this much time.
Yeah.
be realistic that there's going to be those days that you're going to want to spend more time on the family side. And then there's going to be those days where you spend more time with the kids. And prioritizing and figuring out what that day is going to look like for you. So you know what you can work on where you're at, and then being okay with it and just going with the flow. Because the young kids, especially, just got to go with the flow sometimes.
Yeah. I remember working in the nooks and crannies of time. I was building my business, and I remember women who were, mompreneurs who are in my position now, where my kids are older, and they would have these huge blocks of time. And oh my goodness, if I could just get there, right?
Yes.
Then I would be more productive, and more time doesn't make you more productive. So I think it's really important what you just said. Like, we have to know what's priority, because if everything is a priority, then nothing really is.
Right.
Really taking that time, even the night before, and figuring out, okay, what's tomorrow? What am I, and take it day by day. When your kids are little, I mean, it is a day by day, almost minute by minute.
Yeah. I was gonna say minute by minute, hour by hour.
Because things can change so quickly. You get a sick child, or, like you said, they go through teething, or they wake up with an ear infection or whatever. And it's almost like we have, this unrealistic expectation of ourselves to always be able to perform at this high level every single day. And that's just unrealistic. And so really just being honest about the season that you're in. As a mompreneur, if you have littles, I will tell you, and you'll probably roll your eyes when I say this, but the days are long, but the years are short. Mine are 15, 18 now. And I cannot believe how fast it went by. And I'm looking back on, all of those moments where I was feeling the need and the pressure and the mom guilt in working. And also when I was with the kids, feeling guilty that I wasn't working. And so just finding that harmony between the two, and knowing that you're not superwoman. And so the mom guilt is real, right? Yes. I'm sure you've experienced it, and you can prioritize and have your plan and all of those things, but that mom guilt still tries to kind of creep in. So can you speak a little bit to that, to the mom that's listening right now? And she's like, yeah, I've got my plan. I prioritize. I just still feel guilty when I'm working my business instead of like hanging out with the kids 24/7.
Yeah. So for me, when you're feeling so guilty and you're just having that like rough day of figuring out working the business or spending time with your kids, I like to break it up into chunks for the day. And like, okay, I'm feeling guilty. I want to spend time with my kids, but I also need to get this project done, or I need to do this work. So there's a couple of things that we can do. One is going to be looking at what you actually need to do and really thinking about it. Like, do I really need to do this today?
Yeah.
Like, what do you have? A social media post? Okay. Can you do that in a couple minutes? Writing an email that's going out next week. Okay. Maybe that can wait till tomorrow.
Right.
If you're working ahead a little bit, maybe that can wait, because this season that you're in for that day, that hour, it's not working. It's not driving. And your audience, your clients, they're going to feel that. If you're not in it 100% and you're not feeling happy or productive in that moment, they're going to feel that when you're writing your piece or going on a live or recording a podcast episode. They're going to feel it.
Yeah.
So really minimizing then what you have to do, and think about, okay, minimum, what do I have to do today to feel productive, to move the needle forward on my business, and then do that one thing and celebrate it. Like, even if it's something as small as I wrote an email or I posted my stories for the day to keep it going, celebrate those little wins, give yourself that pat on the back of you did something, you moved forward, and then go get those baby cuddles. Because those cuddles with your littles, like, they just change everything, especially if you are in that stage of new mom or new baby. You need that little bit of extra time to heal mentally from everything. And that postpartum piece is so real. And I think we just push ourselves so hard that we just ignore it. No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Right.
And it's not until it becomes such a big burden that others see it and others start commenting that our mental shift, our mental load is too heavy, that we don't acknowledge it. We just keep pushing ourselves farther and farther to get the things done. And we're not going back to those priorities, those pieces that are actually truly important. Taking care of ourselves mentally and physically, and taking care of our families as well. The business, the money, those pieces are great. They'll always be there. And we can always work on them in small chunks when we need to. But working on ourselves and being there for our families is always going to be more important. So when you're feeling guilty, it's always important to me to take that little bit of extra time, to take a deep breath and really think about what you have to do on a minimum and then do the things that are important in regards to that family time. And I know it's going to be a little bit hard, but I have this exercise that I do with mamas sometimes when they're having a hard time with prioritizing and mom guilt is I have them go stand in front of a mirror and look at themselves in the mirror and make eye contact with themselves and say, I am not a priority, and say, my kids are not a priority. And it's this big shocking, like, oh my God, no, that's so not true. And it's upsetting to even say it or to hear it. And like, okay, now change it. They are a priority. What are you going to do to prove it? What are you going to do to take care of yourself today? What are you going to do to show your kids that you are present and there for the day? You're going to go play Legos. I have 2 boys, so a lot of Legos, a lot of Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do for yourself? Right.
Mom here too. Boy, mom here too.
Yeah. I got 2 boys and 1 little girl. So right now it's all about the Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
So, go build that racetrack, for the day and enjoy that moment. Cause like you said, they're fleeting and they grow up so fast.
They do.
And you can always work on the business later.
Yeah.
And find that time later. So don't feel guilty that you want to try to do both. You can. It's just figuring out how much time you're going to give to each piece throughout your day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that changes daily. Weekly.
Yes.
I mean, there are times in my business where I knew that season, whether it be that month or, the busier time of the year when I was going to be more focused on my business. I was going to be doing calls at night, or I was going to be having meetings or traveling. And so I was just really clear to communicate that with my spouse, with my husband, Shaw, and my boys when they got obviously age appropriate. But that's important, to be able to know in your head, okay, this season is going to require more of me in my business, or this season is going to require more of me of my kids because they're teething. And so again, it's just leveling those expectations, because what I have found is when your expectations are up here and they can't see me, but if it's high, but your reality is somewhere mid to low, then you're just going to constantly be frustrated, and you are going to constantly be feeling mom guilt and all the things. So just being really honest with yourself on what I can do, and all I can do is all I can do. And that has to be enough. And so when I'm talking to women, I'm like, you have to define what is enough. What is enough at the end of the day that you can say, I crushed that day, right? Like I was able to do, like you said, the 1 or 2, 3 things, not 10.
Right.
But these are these are the big rocks. And I don't know if you've heard Simon Sinek talk about priorities with the glass ball and the rubber balls, but your work is a rubber ball. You drop it, it's going to bounce back. And that takes, I think sometimes as mompreneurs, we don't believe that, or we've been told a belief about that, but you can put it down for a day. Yeah. You can put it down for a week. You can get off social for a whole month if you want to, right? And still have a successful business. But I think if you think of your family and your own health and your own mental well-being as a glass ball, if you drop that, it can be scuffed. It can be shattered. It can, just have irrevocable damage, right? Because we know stress can cause lots of chronic diseases. So it's just, I think we just have to keep talking about it and keep having these conversations, because as new moms are coming up and they're seeing the culture, and the culture is the opposite of what you and I are talking about. The culture is hustle harder, work harder, wear more hats, just go faster. And that's why I'm on such a mission to have these conversations so they can see, no, you can be both and. It doesn't have to be either or. You can be an amazing mom, an amazing wife, and a very successful entrepreneur. But you have to know your priorities.
And you have to create those boundaries around it.
Yes. Yeah. You have to be able to create those boundaries and understand that all of those other things are only as healthy as you are. You have to be, taking care of yourself. I love the exercise that you said about going in front of the mirror, because for some women, just making eye contact with themselves in a mirror,
it's hard to do sometimes.
It's hard to do. And it probably brings up all kinds of emotions for them, right?
Yeah.
They may look in the mirror and be like, who is this person? I don't even recognize her.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is so strong when you have that moment. Like I've had mamas just crying, like they'll send me a Voxer message and just be crying about it. Cause they're like, I don't know who I am anymore. They've had their babies, they're working in their business, they're doing all of those things. Like you said, wearing all of those hats and hustling and going, and they lose sight of who they are. And they lose sight of what made them anymore. They can't tell me the last time they took time for themselves, went to see a girlfriend, had a cocktail, maybe just went to Starbucks to get a coffee by themselves and not through the drive-through and just enjoyed, 15 minutes alone with their own thoughts. And they're like, oh, no, I don't want to be up there. I don't want to be thinking by myself. And like, okay, see, that's the other problem too. Then we need to reconnect with ourselves and love ourselves for who we are and support ourselves. We push and hustle so hard, and then we beat ourselves up when we can't meet those unrealistic expectations. Like we're our worst critic, and we need to start talking to ourselves like we would our kids or our girlfriends, and think about, like, if you wouldn't say that comment to your kid, why are you saying it to yourself?
Yeah.
So it's that mental, like, self-check of don't say that to yourself and then re-say it. Instead of saying, oh my God, I only got 3 things done today. Say, yes, I got these 3 things done.
Yeah.
I folded 4 loads of laundry today, and take that as a win.
And put them up, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But just take it as a win and be happy about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. There was something that you said I wanted to comment on, but I just think it is so powerful for us to get in tune with our emotions and just allow yourself to sit in it, So if you are, I'm a person who tends to, like, I want to flip the script immediately and get to the positive, because sometimes that's probably my own defense mechanism. I don't want to sit in the emotion and cry the tears and feel all of that. But I'm learning to. That's been a journey I've been on the last probably 3 years, is learn to just sit in it and just be okay with feeling what you feel.
Yeah.
With no judgment, no expectations, none of that. But I just think that's important for women to hear. So I'm so glad that you brought that up, and just allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. And one of the things that I teach with thoughts is, you have to catch the thought that's coming in, like be aware of the thoughts that are coming into your head, like check it. So fact check it. Is it factual, or is it just a feeling that's coming, that's negative, that's a story I've had on repeat, and then change it. Right. Yeah. So catch it, check it, and then change it so that it's feeding a positive mindset. So it's feeding positive behaviors and positive emotions for you. So really, really important for them to do. When you're feeling overwhelmed, or the moms that you're talking about are feeling overwhelmed, like, what's 1 or 2 things that you immediately have them do?
Yeah. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, and it's a lot easier if you're in a warmer state. I'm in Wisconsin, so we just got like 5 inches of snow. So it's a little harder for me, but one of the things I love to do is go outside for a couple minutes and do grounding. If you don't know what grounding is, it's connecting with nature in a way. Take off your shoes if you can, stand in the grass, and take a couple of deep breaths. And I tell my mom, I was like, if you need to leave the kids in the house, open the front door, pull the screen so you can hear them, but stand outside with a cup of water, just a couple of minutes, barefoot in the grass, and take a couple deep breaths and just hear the world around you, the birds chirping, the wind in the trees, and just reconnect with nature. Just all of these stimulations that's going on in the home. We have our phones, the TVs, watches, all of these things. Yeah. And it can just get to be too much.
Yeah.
They're just going back to basics and just standing outside for a couple of minutes, reconnecting, taking those deep breaths can do wonders for your anxiety, your feelings of overwhelm, your physical health, your mental health, and just your mom moment. Like, you're just at your wit's end and you're overwhelmed and you don't want to take it out on your kids or your business or your husband. So just taking those couple minutes to calm outside, take a couple deep breaths and relax is always super helpful.
Yeah.
I always make the joke about tattoos, because I have a tattoo on my wrist that says breathe. That was a reminder I always needed with anxiety and overwhelm.
Yeah.
I always needed, when I was younger, I needed that reminder of just take a breath. As long as I take a breath, I can get through it. I will be okay. So I always had that reminder and always, oh, just go get a tattoo. You'll be great. But no, you don't need to do that. Just go outside.
There's plenty of jewelry, right? There's plenty of jewelries and t-shirts.
Oh yeah, there's jewelry. There's other things you can do.
There's totally so many things that you can surround yourself to remind you of.
Yes, to remind yourself. Sticky notes on the mirror.
Yeah.
There's apps now with like affirmations that they'll just send you throughout the day, or just a timer on your phone.
Yeah.
For every couple hours to remind you just to do like a mental check.
Yeah.
Like, okay, where are my thoughts at right now? How am I feeling?
Yeah.
Do I need to take a minute? And if you can't go outside, okay, fine. Can you take a drink of water, bubbly water, whatever it is, and just separate from your environment for a couple of minutes? Like, go to the bathroom, go to your room, just separate for a minute and take a couple of deep breaths. It's almost like meditating, but you don't necessarily have the time to do a full 20-minute meditation. You only got 2 minutes.
Right.
Let's say before, the 4-year-old starts fighting with the 1-year-old. So just take that little bit of time, that window that you have, and just reconnect with yourself and check in with yourself on where you're at and how you're feeling. Yeah. And what do you need? Sometimes you get so disconnected and in being a mom and in being in the business that you totally forgot that you didn't eat lunch. Right. And all you needed was some food. Just even those little things. So just check in with yourself. Like, what do I need right now? I need to go to the bathroom. Okay. Go to the bathroom. Go get lunch. Get that water. Just take that minute and dial it back and figure out what you actually need and then do it.
That reminds me of when I was in a mom's group at our church, and there was an older woman who was kind of mentoring us. And of course, we're in the throes of littles. And she was like, when you're in the heat of the moment, or you're feeling overwhelmed, halt and think about your kids and halt. They're either hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And so that can apply to us as well. Yeah. Like, just halt and just, okay, am I hungry because I haven't eaten since last night? Am I angry, about something? Am I lonely? Do I need that snuggle, with my child, or am I just tired? Right. And so then, okay, this is the need. Now let me go get that need, and don't have the all or nothing mentality. If you have 5 minutes of deep, breath work, or walking outside and just putting your face in the sunshine, even when it's cold, we can bundle up and still get our head in the sunshine. Yeah. It works. It works. And I think that's just really important for us to think about, because in the moment, I find we tend to want to speed up instead of slowing down. Like when we're overwhelmed, like, well, I just need to go faster. I just need to go harder. I just need to, keep chasing after that ball, and the ball just keeps going faster. Yep. Hardly ever catch it. Right. If you're all there catching those fast balls, let me know. You need to come back on the podcast and tell us how you're doing that. But it's better to slow down and really think about it. Right. Yeah. And what the need is. Hey, friend. So you have been trying to make some shifts this year. Maybe you set some resolutions and you're just feeling stuck. You don't feel like you're making progress, or you're just not sure what to do. And you've heard me say this before, but being stuck is a mindset, not a position. And this is where a coach comes in to support you. Because here's what I know to be true about you, friend. If you could have done it alone, you would have already done it, period. And as a life coach and a certified PDP professional, I specialize in using a research-based personality and performance survey called the ProScan to illuminate how your unique personality and natural strengths, your work and life environments, are influencing real-time performance. So here's what you need to do. Go to the link in the show notes and book your free clarity call to learn more about how I can support you in your goals. I can't wait to illuminate your strengths, cultivate your confidence, and elevate your life. So what can we do, when you're talking to your moms, or even for yourself? Like, what do you do to value yourself each day? Is there something specific that you do that helps you to be like, I'm important. This is just for me. This is what fills me up. Because we can't run on E, like that T part of the halt, the tired. Right. A lot of us we're expecting so much of ourselves, but yet we're on E.
Right. I think for me personally, to fill my own cup and make myself a priority. When I first started working from home, I became the, pajama sweatpants mom.
Yep.
And that really, I didn't realize it, but that really got to me.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't feel productive working in my PJs all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, it didn't work. The connection, it wasn't working. And it just really brought down my day. I couldn't get into that right mental state of being productive.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to get dressed every day.
Yep.
And I have to at least do a little bit with myself, a little makeup, maybe just mascara for the day, whatever. But I have to put an effort into myself at the start of the day to actually feel good and feel productive. Because I don't know, there's just something about, for me personally, staying in my jammies all day. I just feel like it's a relaxing.
Yep.
And then I can't be active and proactive throughout my day and get anything done. No, I'm in my jammies. It's Sunday. I'm just going to relax and stay on the couch all day. And that's great, when you're in that season and if it's that day. But if I need to get some work done, I feel like I need to armor up and get dressed.
Yep.
And that's kind of how I view it. It's armoring up and getting ready. And I feel stronger for it and just better to be able to move forward.
Yeah.
And then it's prioritizing your self-care and whatever that is going to look like for you. And for me, one of my things that I've always wanted, and my husband gifted this to me last year, is I've always just wanted to have my nails done regularly.
Which I love your nail color today, by the way.
Yeah, I got the blue, the turquoise. Yep.
Turquoise.
Yeah. And I always wanted to get them done, but I always put at the bottom of the list, oh no, we can't afford to do that right now. Or no, I need to be able to do XYZ, or I'll just move the appointment. And then, they come off and you don't go back, because I wasn't prioritizing it. It was something I like and I enjoy. And it's that hour of just having a conversation with someone else and just relaxing by myself for a little bit. And I kept not doing it or pushing it off. And for my birthday last year, my husband's like, all right, that's it, I'm done. And he's like, here's a gift card for a year's worth for your nails.
Yes.
And just do it already.
Yeah.
Talking about it, but then I wouldn't do it. So it's those little things that are going to make you happy, whatever it is, Starbucks, getting your hair done, your nails, a massage every now and again, and committing to it.
Yeah.
And stop canceling on yourself.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to go out with the girlfriends. We're going to go do this or whatever we want to do. And then we cancel all the time. We just beat ourselves up and decide that it's not important. Or these other things need to happen first. Or I don't deserve to get my nails done right now.
Right. I have to
tell ourselves we can't. Right.
Yeah.
We have to earn it.
Yeah.
And it's taking that mental shift of saying, I do deserve this and I do want it and I am important. And yes, it's something as trivial as getting your nails done, but it makes me happy. So I'm going to do it. So now we're on 2 years of getting them done. And I still every now and again have that moment of I should just cancel. I should just not do it. But it's checking yourself and checking in with yourself and no, I'm important. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So it's figuring out those little things that are going to make you happy or make you feel productive or make you feel like you can conquer the day, whatever it's going to be, and then doing it.
Yeah.
And for me too, prioritizing myself is so important in that regard, just doing those things.
Yeah.
And I find the other thing that I always talk about is dinner. I don't know, maybe if it's just me, but dinner is always a struggle to get it done. If you don't have a plan and you don't think about it ahead of time, you can't make dinner. And all of a sudden it's time for food and it's frozen. And then you're eating fast.
and then you just 5 o'clock stare into the pantry, what can I pull together?
Right. Yeah. So it's a weird self-care prioritizing thing, but giving yourself that freedom to make the dino nuggets and the mac and cheese when you're having a rough day and you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And not beating yourself up about it. It's okay. Make the dinosaur nuggets. The kids are going to love it. And my husband actually really likes it because I'd make his into a barbecue tortilla thing. And he's like, there you go. You don't even know they're dinosaurs.
Right.
You have a chicken wrap. It just so happens to be that they're dinosaurs with a chicken wrap.
That is a pro tip for moms.
There you go.
Dino nuggets and cut them up and put them in a burrito.
Yeah. Hey, it's chicken, right?
I've got throw some buffalo sauce on it and be done.
Right. Mm-hmm. It works.
I can so appreciate that because I do not love to cook at all. Mm-hmm. And I've done that stare so many times in the pantry. And and you just have to give yourself grace in those moments. And honestly, if that's not an area, if that's an area that really stresses you out, then that can be something that's on maybe your goal sheet for how can I delegate this out? Is there a meal service? Again, this may be just for a season. And this was a conversation that I had with my kids because my mom worked 9 to 5 every day, and she had dinner on the table at 6 o'clock every single night. And she had, not just like a casserole. I mean, she would have pork chops and rice and gravy and green beans and rolls, and then we'd have a dessert. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of like my expectation of myself. Right.
Right.
And that was really important to my dad. And we loved it, but we didn't always love everything she cooked, but we loved it. And we always had dinner around the table. And so I loved that piece of it, but I had so much mom guilt for so long around this cooking thing. And I didn't love cooking, and I wasn't working 9 to 5, and I still couldn't get dinner on the table at 6 o'clock. I was working from home. I had the flexibility. Mm-hmm. Why couldn't I live up to the standard that I had in my mind of what my mom did? And she loves cooking way more than I do. I don't know that she did back then, but she just was purposeful about it because it was important to my dad. Right. So having those conversations with those who live in your home, whether it be cleaning or cooking or practices or whatever, it's really important to know what's important to your family. So you're not beating yourself over the head. Like my kids could care less if I'm cooking the meal.
Right.
But they do love that we get around the table together. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to free myself from that. Now, I mean, I do want to provide I want them to remember some meals, that I've cooked in the home. That's important to me. But does every meal have to be, 4 or 5 courses and on the table by 6 o'clock? And that just wasn't important to them.
Right.
So free yourself from some of those guilt, moms that are listening, and have those conversations with your kids. Now, if they're, 2 months, they're not going to be able to answer that. But it may not be important to your spouse either. And maybe you feel like that's the role that I see other moms doing, or that's the thing I see this successful mom doing, and she looks so happy. Maybe she likes cooking. Mm-hmm. My mother-in-law says cleaning is her therapy. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather delegate out the cleaning and have therapy somewhere else. That does not bring me joy to clean.
Right.
So we're all different. We're all unique. We all have different gifts. We all have different loves and things that we enjoy doing. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up and bring us full circle there.
Yeah, I think that's great. And like you said, asking for help,
mm-hmm.
I think is the other part of that too. Like getting that support. Like your kids are old enough, maybe they can help make a meal every now and again.
Yep,
right.
100%.
My husband, because we just have a 2-month-old, he does a lot of the dinner cooking right now because mm-hmm. she wants to nurse.
Yep.
Literally every day around dinner time. Who would have thought? So he makes dinner a lot more than I do right now.
Yeah.
And we've been together long enough that I've taught him how to cook certain meals, and he started to experiment. Now he actually enjoys cooking.
Yeah.
And it's really funny. He'll go on Pinterest or TikTok and look up recipes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he gets excited because he wants to try something new. And I'm like, you go for it. You're having fun.
Right. Listen,
I don't got to do it. Right. And it started out just being this, I need help with dinner. And now he enjoys it. And he looks forward to cooking dinner a couple of times a week. And he would never have known that he enjoyed it if I didn't ask him, to step in and help out with that task.
Yep. Yeah.
So you just never know. And asking for help is always going to be a big piece of whatever you're doing. You can't be everywhere, and you can't do all of the things all the time. You can't be an expert in everything.
Right.
You need to ask for help and accept it.
Yeah.
And let them help in their way, because they're not going to do it how you want to do it.
That is the truth. Mm-hmm. That is the truth. Yeah. They're not going to bathe the kids like you do.
Right.
They're not going to cook the meals like you do, or load the dishwasher like you do. I mean, sometimes I look at how My two sons are completely different. Like one of them is like super organized. Everything's in its place. And the other one is like, everything is scattered. And so I can always tell who loaded the dishwasher based on how the utensils are put into the dishwasher or how the bowls, but I'm like, you know what? But they're doing it. Yes. And that's all that matters to me is that it's getting done. So done is better than perfect. And that can go from your business to your mom life, your wife life. Like done is better than perfect. Stop living in the land of perfection, because that just it's not healthy for anybody.
No,
it's not healthy for us to expect that of them, right? They're not going to do it like you because they're not you.
Exactly.
So, well, I always like to ask each guest kind of as we wrap up, the last question is on burnout. And have you experienced burnout? If you have, what did it feel like for you? And how have you kind of helped work your way out of it?
Okay. I have definitely experienced burnout. I think specifically that first time around, like being a new mom, right? I quit my corporate job when my son was about 4 months old. So I did the 3-month FMLA off, and then I went back to work, maybe lasted 2 weeks to a month, going to work, doing the whole daycare thing, and I couldn't do it. So then I started my own business. So now I have a newborn and a new business. And then on top of it, shortly a couple months later, COVID started.
Oh, yeah.
So it was all of these different things coming at me and trying to figure out how to be successful in this new world that I had no idea how it worked yet. And pushing and pushing and pushing. And like you said, not asking for help, trying to do it all. Like, no, I'm home now. I should be able to do all the laundry, get the dinner on the table by 6 o'clock, and run a successful business and take care of my kid and do tummy time, and all of the things just kept adding on and on and on and on and on. And for me, my burnout was silence. I would internalize my burnout, and it would be turned into this whole like shutdown. My husband, how was your day? Fine. What did you do today? Nothing. And it was just this monotone, one answer response, just shut down, shut out.
Right.
The world around me, and only interact when I had to. And when it was beneficial, like beneficial to move the needle in the business or posting on socials or whatever it was that way. And if I didn't have to, I wasn't doing it.
Right.
Because I was feeling so pushed to do the other thing.
Yeah.
And what helped me get out of that was my husband. He is, when you talk about like love languages, he is a communicator, and touch is big for him. And for me, communication in regards to talking about feelings, because I've always been an internalizer, has been difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he knows that about me. He knows I shut down. If I'm upset, I shut down. And he gets, loud and emotional, and they're on his sleeves, and he's ready to go and just like, talk about it.
Yeah.
And he tried to ask me what was wrong and tried to ask me how he could help. And I remember we sat at that kitchen table for maybe an hour in silence, because he was waiting for me to answer and I couldn't figure out how to say it.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was just him being patient with me. Because I had this like internal fight of figuring out how to talk about it.
Yeah. Wow.
And then once we had the conversation, it was so much better. And then he started helping out more around the house, because I didn't ask him for help. I didn't tell him it was a problem or that I was struggling. So he just sees me doing it. He doesn't know that he needed to do more with the laundry or help with dinner. He just saw me doing it and he thought it was fine.
He's not a mind reader.
Right. He's not a mind So he had no idea that I was struggling so much and that I needed that extra bit of help. And he's like, okay, I'll start cooking dinner. I'll do this more. And now, years later, we're at this point where he puts a load of laundry in before he goes to work in the morning. And then my goal is to have one load of laundry done. He starts it. All I have to do is put it in the washer to the dryer. And if that's all I did that day, that's great. He'll come home and bring it out of the dryer and bring it upstairs. And maybe I'll fold it.
Right.
Maybe I'll fold it. And then he'll make dinner sometimes too, which is huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's opening up and talking for me was a big hurdle. And then going online and finding that community piece. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Finding podcasts like yours where we talk about it.
Yeah.
And connecting with other women and realizing that I wasn't alone. feeling this way or having these struggles and feeling isolated.
Yep.
And just being able to connect and talk with other moms was huge. So those Facebook groups, the podcasts like yours, which is so helpful to get reconnected with myself and with others to not feel so burnt out.
Yeah.
And then with also having all that help from my husband, it was stepping back in the business a little bit. Like I had this notion in my head because I worked in corporate, I had to work 40 hours a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you run your own business, who says you have to work 40?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're your own boss, make your own rules. So I decided that 20, 25 worked for me.
Right.
And right now, as a mom with 3 kids and a newborn, my goal is 5 to 10 a week.
Right.
That's the season that I'm in.
Yeah.
And once my newborn is maybe 1 or 2, maybe I'll go back up to 20, 25. I don't know yet. But it's knowing where you're at and then moving the needle accordingly and being okay with it. And that took some time to be okay with.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like someone's listening today and they're super inspired and like, okay, I can do this. Didn't get your overcommitted, overstretched calendar and lifestyle overnight, right? It didn't happen overnight. So undoing all of that's been done is not going to happen overnight either. So give yourself grace. And so you start trying maybe the 3 notebook system, that Jess is talking about, or whatever. Like it may work for you, it may not.
Right.
You have to find your own system, but give yourself time and give yourself grace in this process because you didn't get where you are overnight and you're not going to undo where you are overnight either. So give yourself time, trust the process. And I love that you brought in the community piece because honestly, like without a coach, without my community group of moms that I, used to go to the church every Tuesday and we only had an hour and we would split up who would watch the kids that week. I mean, just if I didn't have those things, it would have been so much harder. It was already hard, right? And it still is hard. So you have to find your people. And whether you're an extrovert or introvert or however you want to label yourself, you need people. We were created to be in community with one another. So find your people that you can be real and be raw with. Or if you need a coach or a mentor, I mean, there's that's what we're here. That's what we're here to do. And that's what we're passionate about doing. I can tell from just talking to you that you're super passionate about this too. And it's because figured out some things, right? That you want to help other moms not have to go through the struggles. Like you figured it out and now we're trying to help them so they don't have to go through some of that. So this was so fun to have you on the podcast. What are you most excited about right now, whether it be in life or in business?
Let's see. I'm excited for spring.
Yeah. You're excited for some
warm
weather?
Right. Warm weather. Because we just got like 4 inches of snow. We're going to get another 4 inches in a couple days. And we're recording this in the middle of March. And I'm just ready. Like I keep telling my husband houses down south more. I'm like, we could move.
Come on down. I'll say we had a freeze warning last night, so we don't have snow, but a freeze warning in March. We always get this last like snap of cold weather, and we've had like 70s and 80s last week. And it's like 30s and 40s. I'm like, what is happening? Come on, weather, get it together. We're ready.
I think we're at 10 degrees today, which is pretty good.
Oh yeah. I live in South Carolina. I couldn't do it. I don't know how y'all do it. But I guess we adjust and adapt to what we need to.
We do.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll include all the links for you all to connect with Jessa in our show notes and anything she's offering and just how to connect with her on social. So thank you so much for coming on. This was amazing.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
Very cool. All right, friends. Well, I will catch you on our next episode. And I'm believing in you always. Well, that's a wrap, friends, for this week's episode of the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for following the show. It means so much to me. And listen, friend, sharing is caring. So if you loved this episode and thought of some fellow mompreneurs who could benefit, send them the link. Share this episode or take a screenshot and head on over to Instagram and share and tag me at Martine31Williams. We are connected on Instagram, right? It's where you will get all the fun behind the scenes of my life and business as a mompreneur. Until next time, know that I am believing in you always.